Today we unveiled our 7th Thurrock Heritage Plaque. So we've been, as a museum service, trying to promote heritage by informally telling the local population about interesting history facts. They might be about people or events, and today at Aveley we've managed to celebrate really the life of Alice Diehl, who was born here in Aveley in 1844.
Can you tell us a bit more about Alice Diehl? Who was she? What did she do?
Well, her family were living here already. Her grandfather was the local doctor, and her parents came to live with the granddad. So she was born here in 1844, and so for about 10 years she roamed around Aveley. Her early memories are all Aveley and the fields and the other families that she interacted with. But ultimately she became a very famous Victorian pianist and then a novelist in her latter life, and she actually published 41 books. So it's pretty amazing. It's a bit like the modern equivalent of Martina Cole, I think, who is also local. So it's interesting how cycles of history, can come out. But we hope that by celebrating her life, younger people particularly will perhaps be inspired to think, well, I could achieve that. I could be a musician. Not necessarily a pianist, maybe, but a modern musician, and or maybe a pianist. It doesn't matter. But also to think that women as well, that they can aspire to greater things.
Because it is about, because you were saying being proud of Thurrock and where you come from and the history that it has, and I think it has done that, because she sounds like an amazing and fascinating character, and I'm sure she will inspire loads of young people to sort of think.
I always hope that wherever you are as a human, you have roots. They may change, you may up your roots and down the roots again in some other place, but often I think it's those first memories are actually your strongest, and that's what you remember. And it's interesting that Alice wrote her book, The True Story of My Life, in about the 1890s, so she was already 50, 60 years old, but there was a very strong early memory goes down of things that she remembers very vividly about life in the village and people she met, things she did, experiences. So and even in her late life, she's still thinking of Aveley. So, and I think, I was brought up in Chadwell, and I still think about Chadwell and others, there are other memories. It doesn't matter if you come from outside Thurrock, but if you're living in Thurrock, it is now part of your roots, and we should be proud of that. And individuals should be proud about it. So these sort of plaques and other history things that we do are good for you. It's good for the soul, reminiscing about the past. Sometimes, of course, the past isn't always that nice. I have to accept that. But we've got through it, and we can look back on it, and so it's a good learning curve and a good experience that perhaps we've gone through and survived. And I think we still would be proud about that.
Especially because it brought together the community as well. There were so many people here to celebrate just this one person.
Yeah, we had people from Aveley who live here and suddenly realised that this plaque's been on the wall for a couple of weeks and we've been asking questions. We had people who are into history from all over Thurrock, and amazingly we actually found a living relative of Alice Diehl who comes from Bournemouth, and him and his family and his brother came up today to be with us today. And I think, again, it's just lovely how Thurrock's links can go out to the rest of the world, which of course is our coat of arms. It says, by Thames to all peoples of the world. And again, I'm just always amazed about how many world links we have, let alone our own country links, or even our own Thurrock interlinking about families and communities and business and schools and history. It is all interlinked.
So the past is making the future look bright.
I think that's a good quote. I always say, you can always, well, we're always striving to have a better future, but if you don't know your past, how can you look yourself off? So I think that's an important motto as well.